It's the US Open, and we've got 7 Aussies, Gowies, that are taking part in the 2023 US Open. Let's go through all of the contenders, starting with Geoff Oglivy. And Geoff, Cameron Smith, how do you see his chances in this year's US Open?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. He's clearly probably one of our best contenders, maybe the best contender. I mean, he won a major only 3 majors ago. Loves the tough stuff. LA should set up pretty well for him. It's very long, but it's going to be a grindy test. He's going to have to get the ball up and down a lot, and that's his specialty. And, you know, he's sort of fired up. I think Brooks must have fired up these live guys a little bit, I think, by winning the PGA, saying, well, look, we can still win majors and play live at the same time. So really good chance for Cam, I think. I mean, it's hard to do when you haven't been playing all these tough golf courses every week like the regular guys on the PGA Tour, but he's clearly got the goods at the end of the tournament, and he lives for these big moments, and I think he's a real good chance.
Yeah, he loves the majors. It's hard to align live, tour and the PGA form, Gowie, but he certainly turns up when the big tournaments are on, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. He's always embraced the big moments. Not all players do that, and he has, and I'm with Geoff. They haven't played some of the toughest golf courses on the live tour, so... But he's still got that gritty piece about him. He come back here and won the Australian PGA Championships. He's just one of those gritty players that this short game is amazing. When you've got the best players in the world stopping and watching him hit pitch shots and chip shots around the greens, you know you're pretty good.
What about Jason Day? Obviously a big chance of one of the Australians that we've got playing. He's coming off a win only a few weeks ago. We've said it in the past, he's starting to find form, and he certainly showed us that, didn't he?
Oh, he certainly did, you know, down the stretch Byron Nelson, but he's now number 22 in the world, so the belief is back. He had to change a lot of things. He had all those injuries for a lot of years with his back. He slowed down his golf swing. He's manoeuvred his way around the golf course exceptionally well, and we know that his mental toughness is coming around. It goes in ebbs and flows. It comes and goes, but I think now he is one of the best players in the world coming back. His ball strike and his stats just show that, don't they? You know, he's had 7 top 10 finishes, which means he's in the mix the entire time. And the more times you do that, the more times you're a chance of winning. And this is a pretty special time for him here, because you never know when you're going to come back and have another win in your career.
Well, he's certainly going to have some confidence heading into this US Open. Now, Adam Scott, Geoff, he had some form. He was trending alongside Jason Day there for a period of time. How do you see his chances this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful for Scotty. I mean, he clearly has the pedigree to win the tournament. He hasn't really sort of finished off tournaments very well. He started a few tournaments really well and sort of drifted back to the middle of the field. He drives the ball great. I know he's been on site in LA for quite a long time, so he's doing all his research like he did in his heyday in the majors. So I think he's every chance. I mean, as always with him, I think the putter is key. I mean, his putting stats aren't terrible, but we know it can come and go. And if he can have one of those weeks with that long thing that goes really well, he clearly has the ball striking to do it. And his short game is very improved over the last 4 or 5 years. So he lives for these big tournaments. These are really what keeps him going. So I think he'll be pretty fired up. This is going to be a pretty exciting one in LA, and it's sort of right down his street to sort of play well. So we'll see. I think he's got a decent chance, but he has to make a lot of putts.
Yeah, he's come good in the last few weeks, actually. He's changed his clubs over like 2 months ago, but the clubs are now turning the corner. 42 years of age, and he still wants it, so that's good. All
right, Min Woo Lee, Gowie. Now, I see him as a future superstar. I see him winning a major one day. He hasn't performed the best the last few. How do you see his chances?
Yeah, it's interesting with Min. He's working his way up. He plateaued a little bit. He's going up again. You're right, Braith. He's world class. He's in progress with his coach, Richie Smith, to tighten up the game. So meaning he's such a long hitter, is just to tighten it up off the tee, the shot selections and how to hit certain shots with certain spin. So that is really key when it comes to major championships. But the more that he plays in these, the more comfortable he becomes. He's trying to play a lot more in America. He had a great PGA Championships, top 20, 17th actually. Hit a bunch of really good controlled shots that we've seen, controlled the spin of the ball, which is great for somebody with his length to be able to dial back. And the US Open, I don't know if it's exactly for him just yet, but you never know. If he gets this putter hot, he can be off.
Well, he's a streaky player, and he's just got that X factor. So you feel like he'll turn up at some point and probably shock us, and he could do it this week in the US Open. Now, Cam Davis, Geoff, has had in different form. I know you're a big fan of Cam. How do you see his chances in this US Open?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough ask for Cam. I mean, it's a pretty big stage. But he got a lot out of the President's Cup, I think, last year. I mean, I followed him around for a lot of his rounds there. He was really comfortable at the biggest moments. He learned a lot about how good he is and how much he stacks up against the rest of these guys. I mean, Cam is an absolute flusher. I mean, the whole PGA Tour stops and watches him hit balls sometimes when they walk past. I mean, when he hits a driver, everybody turns around. It's like, what noise was that? I mean, he's a really special talent. He has all the tools. He just has to get up in the mix, I think, in these majors a little bit more often. Get that belief. I think he's got a sort of a tendency to sort of overthink golf a little bit and take it a little bit too seriously. I think if he can play loose and sort of extract all the talent that he's got, he can definitely get in the mix, but it's going to be a really tough ask.
It's going to be tough for him, isn't it, Gowie?
Yeah, it is for sure. You know, he can get a little bit loose off the tees. Putting is starting to improve, and his stats are showing that. So I think it's just, in his whole career so far, it's just been a gradual growth.
What about Carl Phillips? It's a bit of a surprise packet. He's qualified. He's an amateur. He's the kid sensation he was. I saw him on TV, on the Today Show, I think it was.
He was.
About 15 years ago. But he's qualified. And obviously, this is going to be tough. But what an experience for him.
A great experience. I remember my first US Open. You go to the qualifier, which is really hard, by the way. And he led his medalists at Woodmont, which a lot of good players at this golf course. He's just about finished his college at Stanford, a great school in the US there, and he's played really well. He's in the Pac-12, he's All-American, he's in the first team there. He's played the Junior President's Cup here in 2019. He's a powerful player, this kid. He was born in Indonesia but comes out of Perth, and you will see a lot more of him here. He's had a few injuries here and there with his golf game, but what a great experience. He's playing awesome. In LA, the best players in the world. He's just got an abundance of game, and we've seen it from that young age, and we're just waiting for him now. Yeah,
I'm very jealous, but I'm looking forward to watching him play his first US Open. Now, Gowie, Lucas Herbert, similar to Min Woo Lee, although he's had more success on both tours, on the American Tour and also on the European Tour. He's got that X factor too. How do you see him performing this week? Well,
I think he'll go really, really well. He's got the power, we know that. And it's about honing the rest of the game. It's not just all about power this week. It'll be actually about get the ball into the right part of the fairways and obviously the short game and the scrambling that is required at a US Open. He's starting to get more and more of that.
Well, Gowie, we've actually got Lucas Herbert joining us live from Florida. Lucas, thanks for joining us. It's your fourth US Open coming up this week. How are you feeling in the mind and body with your swing heading into this one?
Braith, yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, like you said, fourth US Open coming up. Very much looking forward to it. I think it takes a few of these US Opens to kind of get used to it and figure out what the beast is that you're fighting and sort of mentally preparing for the challenge. But look, honestly, my game feels decent. The results really haven't sort of shown the last couple of weeks. I felt like my game was in a better spot than it was, but so just kind of fine tuning a few things before, we get out to LA. Get ready for the week.
And Lucas, you say that the US Open is a beast. What have you learned so far? What is the beast that you're up against?
Yeah, well, I think par's your friend out there in the US Open. Anytime you make a par, it's you're definitely not taking a step backwards, which I think can be a bit of a different mindset from maybe regular tour events. So it's sort of just getting used to that, getting used to, when your ball's out of position, really playing quite defensively. And, a double bogey can take 9 holes to get that back sometimes. A bogey you can kind of live with, but, doubles and triples are what kill you. So it's sort of just getting your head around that, making sure that, you're not trying to kind of chase the shots that you lose if you do make a bogey. Just staying as patient as possible and really preparing for yourself for the test that everyone else is probably going to be struggling out there as well.
Mate, Geoff here. Have you ever played LACC at all? And if you have, what do you think? And if you haven't, have you heard much? And how do you go about preparing for a new test that you've never played before?
G'day, Geoff. Yes, I've never played LACC yet. I'm looking forward to it. I've only heard really good things about it. I've heard the fairways are wide and a lot more of maybe angles and strategy as opposed to literally just a pure skills test at maybe some of the courses that you see for a regular US Open venue. Any drills that really test you? Most of my putting drills that I would do where maybe I might do them on A flat putt, from 5 feet, it might break, half a cup. I might move them onto a slope where it breaks a cup and a half. And it'll obviously be tougher and you're probably going to struggle with them a bit more, but it's probably more preparing yourself for that mental test of, just getting used to, a 5-foot putt, literally thinking about, okay, well, if I miss this, it needs to be a tap-in sort of thing. And that's going to be a really hard thing to sort of get your head around. But, a lot of the drills that I do are probably more for that. Try and sharpen up your wedge game a lot. If you're going to miss fairways at the US Open, you can't really be expecting good lies. So you got to be thinking you're probably going to chop a few down to a wedge range and trying to get it up and down for par on par 4s. You're probably not going to get too many par 5s. You're going to be able to reach them in 2. So you're going to be, potentially hitting wedge shots in for your 3rd. That's sort of how I would generally prepare for a US Open. But I feel like you're a bit more experienced than me. If you've got any advice on top of that, I'd muchly appreciate it.
Well, Lucas, you're doing Australia proud at the moment. Good luck with the prep for the rest of the week and go and get them.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate having me on.
Lucas Herbert, what a superstar, and hopefully he can kill it for Australia this week at the 2023 US Open. Now it's time, my favourite time, the tips for the US Open. Let's get to you, Geoff. Who are you tipping to win the big one this week?
Well, I'm not going out on too much of a limb, but I've picked Brooks Koepka to win this week. I think he's looked in the mood for this ever since that Masters we watched this year. He looked like the best golfer in the world again when we watched him in the Masters and didn't quite get there. Got beaten by the actual best golfer in the world. But at the PGA, he looked back to his best. I mean, this guy's probably the best major player we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. Probably the best player in majors we've seen since Tiger. He really looks in the mood. He looks like he's trying to prove a point. He believes he's the best player in the world again. And when he's at his best, I don't see anybody beating him. And LACC is going to be really long. It's going to be a real grind, and that's where he really thrives. And I think he just looks right up for it, and he's looking to prove a point. And this is just a perfect storm for Brooks to just go bang, bang and win 2 in a row because, he loves doing that. Yeah,
it's a strong tip there, Geoff, and he is full of confidence at the moment. Gowie, who do you like?
Well, I'm going for a local. I'm going for somebody that's born and bred in California, likes the grass, likes the weather, likes everything, is Xander Schauffele. He's a guy who's 29 years of age, 6th in the world, and I'm going on recent form here. I know he hasn't won, but he's gone the last bunch of events, 5th, 10th, 4th, 2nd, top 20 at the PGA Championships. We know that he's going to win a major at some time. He's got such a neat game that these type of conditions will suit him. He's a strategic player. He's not a power player. He plays to certain parts of the golf course and maps his way around. As Jess said, this is a long golf course. This is going to play long. There's like par 4.5, so he's going to have to be going in with long clubs, but I think he's probably played here a number of times.
Yeah, Xander loves the tough courses too. I think he's a big chance this week. Now, honourable mention to Tony Finau. I've tipped him every major. I'm going to leave him out this week here. I'm going to leave him out, but I'm going to go with Victor Hovland. Now, when I picked Victor, it was just before he won, so I thought he was due, but he's gone out there. He's in good form. He's been up there in the majors. He's been up there every week. Gowie, how do you see it? But I see Victor having a big chance.
Well, he's massive. He's a big-time player for sure. And interesting, after he won Memorial, he went and caddied for his mate in the US Open qualifying. So, he's down to earth, and he'll be back to business in no time.
Yeah, beautiful chance for Victor this week. He has been on fire on the PGA Tour. Thank you, Gowie. Thank you, Geoff. Big week ahead with the US Open this week, and you can watch every shot live of the 2023 US Open right here on Fox Sports.